And I
That time,
remember
what was your favorite song?
Europa. Europa. Yeah,
Europa.
Europe.
Yes.
I remember like it's yesterday, the song we used to sing.
Before there was Prozzak, Jay and I had a fight when we were in the band Philosopher Kings.
Prozzak was
Um,
before Gorillaz,
yeah,
everyone. We'll nerd out a bit here, as I
yeah.
call it on my channel.
I've joked many times that it's like someone should just be a second verse expert. That'd
Usted
make
es
me
muy
fun.
loco.
Ah, wow. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
deep cut.
Ustedes muy loco. That's all she said to me.
I think Prozzak was way ahead of its time.
You want to
So,
hear a new song?
hello everyone, Phil Zero here. And today I am joined by a very special guest. He is a Juno and Latin Grammy award winning songwriter, guitarist, producer. He's worked with artists like Drake, Nelly Furtado, Shawn Mendes, Luis Fonsi, Martin Garrix, just to name a few. And of course, he is one half of the triple platinum Canadian duo, Prozzak. We have James Bryan here. Welcome, James.
Hey, Phil, great to be here, man.
Yeah.
I love that intro. Thank you. I feel pumped up now for that.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's our pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, you have no idea how wild this is to me. Prozzak was one of my favorite artists growing up, and when I saw you guys were touring again, I was in shock. Like, I got the Instagram ad for your Vancouver show, and I was like,
Nice.
yes, bye. And to everyone watching,
Okay.
you should do the same. I'm looking forward to the show.
Oh, beautiful. So that's me in Vancouver. We're playing at like one of my favorite venues, period, the Commodore.
Yeah,
And like I've seen some great shows there and I've played there. Like Prozac had killer show there. Philosopher Kings, the band that Prozac was born out of, played there once. And yeah, I remember the last time Prozac played, they have the bouncy floor.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, like the whole show, it was like I was almost seasick because everyone was just jumping the whole time. So
And
yeah, like that would be the warning. I'd say if you are seasick, then take some gravel before you come. But
yeah,
there should be,
you can feel the bounce on
yeah,
stage.
which
Whoa.
yeah, it's so cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad you're gonna be there. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, me too. What triggered this tour? Like, what made you and Jay decide to bring Prozac back after all these years?
So, well, the short answer would be COVID.
Okay.
It's like, but the longer answer was so 2015, actually, we came back after doing nothing for like a decade. Um, and we got invited to do this show, and it was a cosplay rave at the Science Center in Toronto, which is actually closed now. And so when I got that invitation, it's like Jay and I knew we had to come. That would be worth coming out of retirement for because it's going to be a crazy, interesting, crazy gig, which was great for Prozac. But we had no idea, like, that we got there that people, what kind of people who'd be into it. Would anyone show up? I knew my mom would be there, but it turned out that it was packed. In fact, like the fire marshal had to come down and almost shut the show down at one point because there was too many people.
Whoa.
And the coolest thing was a lot of our fans dressed up as Simon and Milo, which was like the first time we'd seen that. And so, yeah, so we were blown away. And so that kind of that was the reunion gig that got us kind of inspired. So we've been playing, like we did play before COVID. I mean, it's a whole lifetime ago, but we did a tour with Aqua. So I guess you were not aware of that one. That was a fun tour. We did like a arena tour for that. And yeah, just basically, I love performing. Jay likes performing, but he loves meeting fans,
Yeah.
connecting with our fans. So we just absolutely had a great time. But during COVID or before COVID, we thought we were going to shut the whole thing down. We were like, okay, we did a reunion run. Surely people are sick of Prozac and Simon and Milo by now. Um, I don't know. But the truth was that Jay lives in New York. I'm in Toronto. And so it's like and it's not super convenient to get together. But yeah, right in the middle of COVID, when it was so depressing and isolating for me, and I think for Jay too, he called me up one day. It was like, I miss playing, man. And I said, yeah, of course, we got to play again. So we made the decision then to bring Simon and Milo out of retirement again because I think the world needs a little bit more Prozac these days.
I think so too. Like Prozac is like a core childhood memory for me. I still remember like my friends and I would listen to Hot Show and we would try and figure out a storyline to the album and we would
There
make
is.
up
How
like
old were you? Okay, how old were you when do you remember?
I was I was I think about 10.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's like right in the middle, I think, of our fan base at that time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like because we had kids who were like younger, and then there was teenagers. But yeah, it's amazing. That's cool.
Yeah, and I
That time,
remember
what was your favorite song?
Europa. Europa. Yeah,
Europa. Oh,
Europa is still on it's still on my main playlist after like 25 years or something.
yes.
I remember like it's yesterday. The song we used to sing. What was its name?
Did you
Yeah.
know that's the first song we ever wrote? That
I
was the
saw
song.
that on your
No,
Instagram.
that, yeah, I just wanted to share that story. If I'll do a shorter version now, but
Yeah.
yeah, basically, before there was Prozac, Jay and I had a fight when we were in the band Philosopher Kings. It actually was a fist fight, which I'm ashamed to say. But he's the one person in the world that could push my button, and I guess I'm the same for him. And after a show, we are just like, "Oh, I've had enough of you." And I gave him one left hook, and then he threatened to call his lawyer. But to make up for it, we thought we'd get in the studio and make some music. And lo and behold, that actually worked, which is crazy. We have a great creative chemistry that we didn't know about. So we started with we thought we'd just like pitch the song to a band at the time. Do you remember Ace of Base?
Yep.
Yeah, so we were like, okay, let's just do a random song for Ace of Base. And he sang in this kind of fake British accent, which is a character he would bring out on tour after the shows. He had this like whole character, and it ended up becoming Simon. And so we wrote the song. We loved the song, but we didn't know what to do with it. And all the A&R guy at Sony Records, because we were recording it at the Sony writers' room, which is great for these kind of things. So he just popped his head into the room, checked out the song, and afterwards he just said, "Hey, I love that. Can you do a whole album?" And we just looked at each other and we're like, "Yeah." So he left, and then like the next half an hour, we were just like, "How the hell are we going to present this?" Because Jade didn't want to sing showing his face, and it's not
Right.
him. And then as soon as we figured out the idea of a cartoon, then all of a sudden the whole thing like fell into place. It definitely was like a spiritual download, I'll call it.
Yeah. So how were the characters actually created? Like what made you choose to create those alter egos instead of, just being the two of you? I know you said
Well, it was
Jay didn't
most
really want to show his face about in that project.
well just because he's singing in an accent and he was embarrassed to that. And honestly, he wasn't comfortable being a front man at that time, so I didn't think he liked that idea. But um yeah, so that's so literally like no one had done a cartoon band since like Josie and the Pussycats. I think it was a TV, right?
Yeah.
Then, so this is before the Gorillaz, and so yeah, we just like it was one of the ideas we just came up with, and it was just as soon as we thought of it, we're like, oh, that's perfect. And then the next thought was, oh, maybe we could just have them go on tour as holograms one day, and we'll stay at home, like like all these things, like just all of a sudden the ideas just flowed, and that's kind of like how the whole project has been, which is amazing. Simon and Milo took on a life of their own, and so now we're just like, we're here to create with them every once in a while.
Yeah, cuz and it's interesting you say that because a lot of people make that comparison, right? Like Prozac and Gorillaz,
Yeah, yeah,
mainly because of the cartoon characters, I think. The music's
yeah.
completely different. But yeah, Prozac was actually before Gorillaz. How do you guys feel about that constant comparison?
Yeah, Damon Albarn, I'll get you.
Prozac was
Um,
before
yeah.
Gorillaz, everyone.
Yeah, it's true. But I like, I respect the Gorillas, and I love mostly I love their animation. I'm jealous of their animation because they have an animator in the Gorillas, right? And so for us, we've always had to work with outside animator. But yeah, no, I think it's cool. But I think, yeah, I guess it was just in the collective consciousness of the world. I don't know that like they were actually checking out much music at that time. But who knows? Maybe they did.
Oh yeah, yeah, much music. Was I one of the things I remember the most is always seeing Prozzak on the hit list. Remember that show? Was that a
Yeah,
much music thing? I was thinking about it. I was like, was that
I don't know if
much
that was
music?
YTV.
That was
I think
YTV,
it was
right?
YTV. Yeah, like we got it was just a perfect time for an animated band to have big hits because Much Music was huge. Everyone was watching it, and YTV had this, yeah, they had a platform too, like the show's hit list. So between those two, yeah, like the videos were everywhere at a certain time, like around the turn of the millennium, which is just incredible that we had that.
Yeah, yeah. So, for anyone who may not be familiar with Prozzak, Prozzak was an absolutely massive duo in the 90s, 2000s. They were a cartoon duo, characters Simon and Milo, James being the man behind Milo, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
But, James, I wanted to ask you, how would you describe Prozzak's music? Like, I was never able to really put my finger on it from when I was a kid, even until now. I still don't really know how to describe Prozzak. How would you describe them?
Well, like the fastest way we had was musical antidepressant.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's saying the name. Uh, Happy music for sad times. I'd say that's another one because Simon always, was getting his heart broken, and I think
yeah,
Jay was just really unlucky in love at that point, or was not in healthy relationships. And but it's also just a story about friendship, um, and kind of being there for your friends and accepting each other. Because Smile is always there for Simon, no matter what he gets into, and yeah,
I love it so much because when you look at kind of fundamentally what Prozac was, right? It was we had two Canadian guys who created these cartoon characters with European accents, but in the music there was a lot of Spanish and flamenco style guitar parts, but
right.
it was
You
still
picked
in
up. I
that kind
appreciate
of
that.
yeah, that 90s electronic dance pop sound. Like when you put it all together, it doesn't seem like it should work, but it really did.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, well, so the flamenco stuff, that's like definitely a big influence from me.
Yeah.
As much as I grew up on the Beatles and like 80s and new wave music and stuff, I was into like flamenco and Brazilian guitar. And so yeah, like the melody of Europa is like totally,
Oh yeah. We're
yeah.
grabbing the guitar.
I don't know if you can hear it though on Zoom, right?
Oh yeah, we can hear it.
It's like very classic,
Yeah.
classic. So, but yeah. So it's just like I said, Jay and I are opposite personalities, but creatively we have the intersection, and that's what Prozac is. Like we both love stuff like, the Smiths, The Cure, The Beatles, New Order, I don't know, like stuff like that. The dance pop thing, we it was a bit of an afterthought. Like that was just because that was like kind of it was happening at the time. We are like, oh, I like house music.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jay listened to much house music. Oh no, he loved. We both love Daft Punk. So I'd say that's another influence too. It may not have come out so much in that music then, but yeah,
Yeah, because when we look at that kind of era, that whole kind of genre was really taken off. Like, of course, Prozac, and then, like you mentioned earlier, Aqua.
yeah.
There was Venga Boys, who you guys also toured with, or even like Eiffel 65,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that moment, it was just coming out of grunge, I guess, where like grunge was really big and it was so overall, it was pretty depressing, kind of whiny, and I mean, there's great Nirvana songs, but yeah. Anyway, so to come out of that, there was like all the boy bands and the Spice Girls, and yeah, like the bands you're just talking about. People are ready to have some fun, and I think like at the time, it was like the turn of the millennium was like a freaky time because everyone was worried that the computers were all gonna crash and we're gonna die.
Right.
Our
The
civilization had
Y2K bug.
Y2K bug, right? So, and now it's like the moment we're in at this moment, right now, it's just kind of like the beginning of AI technology coming in and like people being, none of us really know exactly how much impact or how that's going to impact everyone. So I think it's like there's a lot of anxiety out there. And so I guess at those moments, we really feel like compelled to make some happy music.
Okay, here's a selfish question because this has been unanswered for me for like 25 years. As the person behind Milo, what's Milo's backstory? Because Simon's is very evident, right? But Milo's
It's
always been a bit mysterious.
Yeah, maybe not quite as developed, or maybe more underground.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Milo on the surface, certainly he's got a big heart and he's always supportive of his friend. He also he's into smoothies and apparently into voyeurism, although that's not me. Like he had the song I Like to Watch.
Yeah.
He likes clubbing and smoothies, so I think he was a man of extremes.
Were you the vocal in I Like to Watch?
Yeah, yeah, of
So
course. Yeah, yeah.
Milo is all you.
Yes. Uh,
Yeah.
I like to watch.
Do people ever call you Milo or they call Jay Simon?
they might, but that doesn't stick for us. We're clearly the creators. Yeah, Milo's like a whole other entity.
I
That's
remember
pretty
my
good.
friends and I loved that song. And it's funny because we were like 10. And of
Yeah.
course, the theme of the entire Hot Show album was a bit above our age group. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair,
Yeah.
searching for love. Yeah, love, lust, all
Yeah.
that.
But the songs were just so fun that you just can't help but love it.
But you probably had a heartbreak. You could have. I mean, I don't know if I think I did had first crush by the time
Yeah.
so I think there's something for everyone in there.
I was just thinking about this. I was trying to remember. I think the first CD I ever bought was Prozzak's Hot Show. It was either Hot Show or Blink's Enema of the State, but let's say it was Hot Show.
Let's say it was Hot Show.
We'll say it was Hot Show. I think I
That's
still
cool.
remember all the words to every song. God, I love that
Well, you're gonna be
album.
tested when you come out to the Commodore then.
Oh yeah, I'm
That's
ready. Which was your
yeah.
favorite song on that album?
Uh, on the first album, I have favorites for different reasons. I mean, Sucks to Be You for
Yeah.
me. It's just like that one actually started as a grunge song. Like Jay had come up with a verse part. I'm a bastard if it's true. And it was like slow and kind of plotting.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you.
I'm a bastard if it's true.
And then but I always liked the melody. And then yeah, I think he was talking about just a bad date he'd been on. And we just said, oh, it sucks to be you. Because that was a saying at the time, right?
Right.
People saying sucks to be you. So I just like how he flipped that and made it our own. But also Anna Lisa is like the least Prozzak-y song. It's like just a straight up ballad, right?
Right.
But I love that. Like that melody is one of my favorite melodies I'm most proud of coming up with. And the song was really touching, especially it was kind of Jay. It was kind of mostly about his parents divorcing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of like real emotion. I mean, through the whole thing. But yeah, so there's two extremes for you.
Okay. Yeah. Just I can't choose. Europa's always been my favorite.
Well, that one that melody again. I'm just like I don't know how like they came up with that, but I just love it. It's like
Yeah.
very
And of course all the big ones which I love too, like Sucks to Be You, Strange
Strange
Disease,
Disease. That
Wild
one's the most
Thing.
fun to play live for me.
Yeah.
Strange Disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorites, Tsunami. I listen to that a lot as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now I'll never be free. I was drowning in a wave of ecstasy. Tsunami.
Was there ever a satirical angle to Prozzak, or was it just like a full commitment to the story?
The whole thing is, that's funny. He says, yeah, it's definitely the whole thing has tongue in cheek in a way, right?
Yeah,
Um, because we honestly, like, whenever we were writing a Prozzak song, Jay and I are laughing like the whole time.
yeah,
Like, we're like, oh my God, what if we said this? So it's like, and just like once you get an idea, like we would just like dive into the idea. And every time we write a good one, we're always like laughing the whole time. So it's
yeah.
definitely, yeah, it's definitely satirical. There's levels. I'll say that. There's levels.
Yeah, and that actually works really well with the alter egos, right? Because it's you're writing in this in the perspective of these fictional characters, and you can just have fun with it, right? Because it's it's their world.
Absolutely, but you can also be really honest. Like I know, like I said, a lot of the lyrics and just where the sentiment of Simon like was where Jay was at, his head, his heart was
Yeah,
at. So he really was in a heartbroken place a lot at that time, and so he couldn't really be comfortable just letting it out. Like I said, other than through a character, but it gave him the freedom to kind of really be super vulnerable and honest, which is the crazy thing, right? Again, you're behind a character that allows you to be more real in some ways. So
yeah, totally.
yeah.
And was there a certain point that you guys realized that okay, this concept is actually really working and people were responding positively to it? And was there a specific song or a moment that you guys felt that shift?
Was there a moment when I realized that like Prozac was bigger, is blowing and turning into this thing? Yeah. For me, it was when we first did a show. It was at Canada's Wonderland, and we were not on stage. We were in the audience, and we just had the screen, just the videos of Simon and Milo. And we were opening for Destiny's Child. And it was like, so we met Beyonce and Kelly, and at the time.
Yeah.
But then when we got out there, like Jay and I were just in the audience and had no idea if people were going to respond to just watching the screen and hearing those songs. And like when the first song, yeah, maybe it was Strange Disease. As soon we just looked around and people were just like right into it immediately, and then we just knew we had something special. It just felt like a little bit like probably the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is
so
so
you
cool.
so you guys kind of watched everyone's reactions from the crowd.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was a very cool experience you don't usually get. But then I'll tell you, so then like the videos were starting to do really well, like the songs were doing well on radio, but Much Music, like I said, was so supportive. We had like several number ones off that album, or top 10 at least. And then so we knew there were like fans, but it was kind of surreal because it wasn't like we were just playing in clubs every weekend and seeing the fan base grow like we did with the Philosopher Kings.
Right.
So this way it was just like this thing that was happening. And then we eventually decided to go on tour. And after we've had some success with the videos, and we were like booking like hockey arenas and so bigger rooms.
Yeah.
And to the fact that we'd show up and it would be like full and people would be up for it and knew the words, that was definitely a moment. So that was that tour. That was actually, I think maybe that was after we put out the second album, Saturday People. I think that's when we went on the road.
Yes.
So, but
Yes.
yeah, so the first one, Destiny, opening for Destiny's Child, being in the crowd, that was definitely the moment. Like,
Yeah.
most real.
You're like
Yeah.
like okay, there's something here. This kind of
Yeah.
project we had is there's something people are actually enjoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you never, yeah, and you never know. Like, I mean, you never know. Every time you write a song, it's like you have to do something that you like, and then when other people actually get it too in their own way, it's a beautiful thing. So,
So now I want to switch gears a bit and get into the, kind of musician-y and composition side of the music.
cool.
We'll nerd out a bit here, as I
Yeah.
call it on my channel. So the thing that I always found so cool about Prozzak's music is everything felt, it felt simple but intentional and memorable because, anyone can write a catchy melody, right? But there's a
Really?
difference.
I don't know about that, Phil.
I was gonna say there's a difference between, something that's run of the mill catchy and something that's still gonna be memorable 20, 30 years from now. And I feel that so many of Prozzak's songs have that memorability to them. Memorability? Is that a
I like
word?
that. Remember, you just coined that word. I like that though.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I don't know if it's a word already,
Go,
but
yours
was
for the
this
record.
done with intention? Like, were the songs crafted in a way specifically to drive a point home, or did things just kind of turn out that way organically?
Yeah, I would say both, right?
Yeah,
Because like Jay and I are both have I guess I would say perfectionists, but
yeah,
definitely strive for excellence, right?
yeah,
Like when we were writing a song, like each of us would be pushing the other to just go a little bit further out of their comfort zone, or can you do that line? Let's change that word here, make it even better, change that melody. So that's the beauty of our creative partnership is that we do that. It's like you kind of push each other, uh, and I think it makes for better songs in the end. Um, but yeah, I mean, you're always, yeah. So besides that, the fact that like that you're still talking about it, almost 30 years later,
yeah,
that no one could have predicted that, right? Like, you don't know which ones are gonna really last. Because I've written like over 1,000 songs for sure, and
yeah.
there's many more that I thought were good songs that clearly didn't stick. So there's something special to the whole package. It's like it's the cartoons, it's like Jay and me, our chemistry, and it's like all the influences we're bringing. But yeah,
Yeah,
we definitely were trying to we wanted it to be classic. Yeah.
yeah. And what was the songwriting process for you guys? Like, did it usually start on guitar, or was it a beat first, or vocal melody, or just always different?
No, so well, definitely the first album we were writing it on tour with the Philosopher King. So we would be at that time we had a tour bus, thank God. And so we were like go to the room at the back, close the door after the show, and I would have my acoustic guitar, and me and Jay would just like often we'd come up with a concept, you know, I mean something like Tsunami. We're like,
Yeah.
okay, so let's like okay now let's what would he be singing if he was, in Southeast Asia and Taiwan, and so we do a little research, obviously on location. Like Huifeng. I still haven't been to Taiwan,
Yeah.
even though I had a hit with another group, Sunshine State, that I had. But anyway, yeah, yeah. So we'd just be like Jay and I come up with a concept, and then it would start with a conversation, and then I would just like start to pick a melody off and out, right?
Yeah.
So that's always been my preferred process. It's super organic. So it's really just like you start your chatting, and then all of a sudden I'm noodling a bit, then he's singing a little bit, and then once we find something like a hook that we're just like both love, we stop like, oh, what was that? Do that again. Um, so that's still like the the most fun way that we write songs. But like I said, now, or even from our like third album, I don't know if you ever heard that. So Cruel Cruel World, which is actually like my album I listen to the most now. But that one, we were living in different cities at that time. And so we had to like send stuff back and forth. So that was the first time we did that. And then we actually got together in New York and recorded like at his place at that time. So like and yeah, now with this process, we're doing obviously technology, allows you to send stuff back and forth.
Yeah.
But so yeah, some of the newer stuff, it starts that way. And then, you know, but when we go on the road, we still will make time to like actually just sit in a room with a guitar. And that's the most fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's as much as, we can make things way easier, like you said, with technology now. You can just send stuff back and forth, or, with all of the AI stuff going on, but that's a whole other conversation. It
Yeah.
really is
You don't even have to
when
write a song now. It's right. Just so yeah, I want to write the song about this. And then you say you write it afterwards.
yeah.
We could have a whole other conversation about that one. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, I think just sitting in a room with with your band, with your group, and just writing organically that way, nothing's ever gonna really beat that, right?
Absolutely, you said it. And yeah, for me, it's like I want to enjoy making music. Like I want to enjoy the creative process, and just the other way is not as fun. Like when you're not bouncing ideas off each other, it's actually more time consuming. When it's like, oh, I have an idea, and I just go down the road with it for like X amount of hours, and then send it or in days, and then I might have to change half of it or change the whole thing. But if you're in the room, you can quickly just make those decisions. So it's
Yeah.
actually a faster, more efficient process and fun.
Yeah. And so, as a professional songwriter, what are some songwriting elements that you noticed were used a lot 20 years ago that aren't really used anymore? Or vice versa, what's done a lot today that wasn't done back then?
Right. Yeah, I'm sure at the time, well, like certainly, like I said, before we came up with Prozzak, it's like there was the grunge thing had really like run its course. So there was like certain progressions that were always used, chord progressions or sounds of a guitar. And then it's like the content was always like, or the lyric was often just about like how bad the life sucks so much, or I'm such a jerk or whatever.
Yeah,
And so that kind of self-defeating thing was seemed to be big, and so we were like against that in a way, right? Even though Simon is sad, he's not saying he's not happy about being heartbroken.
right.
He's still hopeful. I think the hope was really big. Like that's for me, that's like important in general to have something hopeful that I'm trying to put out in the world. So I think Prozac, yeah, it has that. It's like it can be sad. Life gets sad, but if you don't have any hope, what's the point? So yeah.
Exactly.
But oh yeah, I mean, we didn't have mumble rap in the 90s. That was the whole thing.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
think now we're past that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh yeah. I know that we used to have a bridge in every song, and Prozac sometimes still would. But it's like, you got your verse, get your chorus, and then later you'll have a different section, the bridge. And that seems to have gone away.
Yeah. The double chorus at the end of the song. No one really does the double chorus outro anymore.
You're right. Yeah, that's true. And that one I'm like, in general, I'm feel good about that though, because I would rather end a song with people wanting more. And
Right.
I think that people were getting really lazy where they're literally were just like pasting the exact same thing twice.
Yep.
To me, that's not very exciting. So yeah. Even like if we would have a double chorus, it'd be like something different. It's like either there'd be a harmony on it, he'd improvise and do a different melody, I would do a guitar solo on it, like there'd be something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely I'm not against the double chorus, but yeah, that's one that's different. You're right.
A- Yeah. And something that I always know, it's something I always listen for,
What's that?
the verse 2 switch up. That's a relatively new-ish, and by new I mean like maybe 10-ish years ago,
Mhm.
because before that, verse 1 and verse 2 were always pretty much the same with different lyrics, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's another one I'm kind of happy about too. It's like sometimes if a melody is so good that you should bring it back, then bring it back.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely a fan because a lot of the time it's like you love the hook, and then after you write the first verse, you really don't want to write the second verse. It's like you've said what you wanted to say, and it's like I actually have joked many times that it's like someone should just be a second verse expert
Yeah.
and go around to all the sessions and just like come in. Okay, what do we got? Where are we at? It's like, but I wouldn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
changing it up, I think is cool. Like that's part of like shorter attention spans. People don't want to hear the same thing again, but it also makes it a bit more interesting.
Yeah,
But
that's
honestly, if the one thing I would say is that chords and melody have gotten so simplified in general, or at least they were, that it was getting a bit boring, I think, for me. Um, you know, not that we have like tons of crazy chord progressions, but definitely there's musicality in our music for sure. But now there's a lot of cool artists that are I mean, Bruno Mars will put in like his stuff is more throwback, but he'll put in some cool chords, sus chords, and key change or something.
Yeah.
Someone like Yeba is using like different keys, different weird progressions. Yeah, so some people are doing it. James Blake, yeah, there's some cool people.
Is there a songwriting trend you wish would come back?
I would say the trend I would most like to see is just people writing from the heart and
Yeah.
not thinking it's cheesy or whatever, and not being too self-conscious. I think there's a lot of self-consciousness happening right now, and
Right.
yeah, so I'd say that doesn't usually create the most emotional art.
Yeah, like lyrically or musically,
Yeah,
or I guess both.
most lyrically,
Yeah.
both. Yeah, both. Because we were like Prozzak, when we were coming out, people thought it was just so pop. Like they would even in the other band we were in, the Philosopher Kings, we were such music snobs in that band.
Right.
And we were like, everyone was like just trying to create this piece of art, and it's a funny thing, and also just like make things a little more complicated than they needed to be sometimes. But then now when I look back, it's like Prozzak clearly is created music that sticks.
Oh,
And
totally.
nothing
Yeah.
against Philosopher Kings, but yeah, it's definitely Prozzak, or maybe Prozzak fans are also just a lot more loyal, which I love.
Something that I always found really cool was Jay's vocal style for Prozac.
Yeah,
That kind of vocal fry with a lo-fi effect in his, pretty much in his speaking voice. You don't really hear that anywhere else, and that was part of that signature Prozac sound.
that's true. Yeah, absolutely. No, totally. His voice, he has so much personality, and just in that character when he's
Yeah,
just like talking like. And Jay is not like a belter. He's not like a classically trained singer like that, and
right.
certainly not either. And I'm not a rapper, so I mean, we just like we were trying to make the voices sound a little computery, so we used some effects certainly.
Yeah,
Like the time we are using like not quite a vocoder effect, but we are using like pitch shift and a lot of compression, a little distortion, just to you get that sound. Um, yeah, but yeah, his voice, he's got tons of personality. Yeah,
yeah. For me, I have a classical vocal background, and I always like to listen for cool things that people do with the vocals. But with Prozac, I was like, he stays in one range the entire time, pretty much. But I'm like, this really, really works. Like, there's no point where it sounds boring, or it's just how everything's put together. That vocal just fits perfectly.
well, that's cool. I'm sure you
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah, for me again, if you play the melodies, like that Europa melody it's not so static. It's like, it's like that melody is quite very beautiful and classical. But when he sings it at a low enough range, and because it's so off the cuff, right, with not a lot of like effort, that it just sounds like, yeah, it just sounds like, oh, he's just talking it. But it's a very cool thing how that, yeah, it's like it's almost juxtaposing it.
Yeah, I think Jay's vocal and the Spanish flamenco style guitar you guys incorporate,
Yeah,
like you don't hear that anywhere else. And
that is a fact.
yeah, and I've always wondered this, why is this guitar style so prevalent in Prozac? Like, do you have a Spanish background, or is it more of a personal taste thing?
It's just taste, unless it was a past life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm like my last name is McCollum. Yeah, family is definitely not doesn't have any Spanish in it, but I've always like I love great, um, passionate, emotional guitar music, and so a lot of that like it comes from flamenco music or Brazilian bossa nova and samba. Like some of the greatest guitar players are in those traditions. So me as a guitarist, I've always been drawn to that. So yeah, but
Yeah,
personal
with
taste.
with that guitar and Simon's vocal and in electronic dance
Yeah,
pop, it doesn't seem like it should work, but it just works so well in a really unique and cool way that it's really hard to make that work, but it really does. Like one of my favorite songs, which I think is really underrated, it's from Saturday Night People. Usted
Saturday
es muy
people.
loco.
Ah, wow. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
deep cut.
Yes, sir. I thought that dynamic shift in the chorus is just so good, and
With the most gorgeous birds in nest in Mexico.
Ustedes muy loco.
That's all she said to me.
when I saw that, because Spotify and stuff shows the plays, when I
Yeah.
saw that it was one of the least played songs on the album, I'm just like, what? There's no way. The song is so good.
Well, you can mobilize an army to people to click on and listen to that one. Yeah, we can
Yes,
spread the love.
yes. I will
I
link everything and post everything in the video. You guys need to check that song out. It's so
It is,
fun.
yeah, you know what? I haven't thought about that song in a long time because we have yeah, like I'm really proud of like a lot of the songs I feel like have stood the test of time. Not all, like there's certain songs maybe I wouldn't want to play that we've done. We haven't done that one live, but I'm glad you like it. Uh yeah. It's not me, it's you. We had a video for that and
Yeah.
everything, but that's not one that we're playing live these days. Uh yeah.
Yeah, I think Prozzak was way ahead of its time, like in the music, the concept, the branding, because like back then, I would say most, not all, but everything was really labeled and genreified, right? Like
Right.
if you were pop, you were pop. If you were rock, you were rock. You kind of stayed in your lane. But today, there's all these collabs and genre bending, and lo fi stuff is popular again, and Latin music is at an all time high. So, with Prozac's composition style, I think that music still holds up today and maybe even more than ever, right? Like,
That's very interesting. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, for us, again, we were just trying to do something. We were trying to do something original, actually. Like we were not, I think both of us had no interest in trying to chase a trend like that. Never worked for me and or Jay. But the way it came together wasn't really pre-planned. It was just like, oh, this is what I love, this is what you love, and when we, fit it together, it was like, oh, that's this new thing.
yeah.
But I love that where music is now. Like that's the great thing with streaming is that it has opened things up. People listen to all kinds of music, and you don't have to be like you're not defining yourself by one genre,
Yeah.
which is good. So yeah, that's something different and positive.
Yeah. Have you felt that trend change on your end? Like, is that something you guys keep up with as songwriters?
Yeah, well, again, like even for me as a songwriter, like I just love like a lot of the songs I always loved were the singles, like no
Right.
matter what genre, what artist. So I guess I like hit songs, like but typically they're really well written songs, right? The ones that have stood the test of time, those are my favorites. But so I'm always trying to write something with that kind of goal. But I know as long as it's a reel, then that's the most important thing. But chasing, yeah, like anytime I've thought about it too much, overthinking, thought about the production too much, like that stuff never ends up working. It's not the stuff that sticks.
Yeah,
So,
when I was in school for music composition, one thing
oh,
that
you went to school? Where did you go?
I was at, Tom Lee Music.
Tom Lee Music?
Tom Lee Music. Yeah, I went through the next level program there.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
okay. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, one of the lessons that our teacher really drove home, they said if you're chasing a trend, you're already too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great advice. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, there's only one of you, so just do whatever you think is most you. Like, just stick to the stuff you love, and
Yeah.
that's that more than ever. Like, that's what I love about Prozac too. Is like, it was different, and I think we attract people that maybe didn't want to listen to or were into like the most mainstream things or culturally.
Yeah.
I was always like feeling like an outsider. I think Jay did as well too. And so we kind of built our own little world there.
Now I want to shift gears a bit from being the artist to working with other huge global artists like Drake, Shawn Mendes, Luis
Yeah.
Fonsi. So after Prozzak, you moved into, we can say, like a global songwriting career. And how did that transition happen?
Well, part of it, like, first of all, Jay and I started producing other stuff.
Yeah.
Remember B44?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
If
yeah.
you get down on me, I'll get down
Yeah.
on you. So that was written and produced by Jay and I. We did
Jersey Shore before it was Jersey Shore.
That's funny. Yeah. So, and then we uh, worked with Fifi Dobson from, when she was just 15 all the way up to getting her first album blown up worldwide, getting her signed in the States, making the record in the States. So we were already kind of like together, we were building that production writing thing. But after that, there was a certain point, like after Fifi, we both felt like we needed a break and wanted to do our own thing in a way, right? So also I wanted to move to LA and he
Yeah.
wanted to be in New York. So that was the split right there. So I just kept writing and always, I've always like got a list going of people I want to write with or I'd love to work with. And so I was just started, trying to I would tell people when I meet them, oh, it's like, do you know this person? Yeah, I'd love to work with them, and then Drake was on the list for me.
Yeah.
That took a long time. But then, yeah, so then I went to LA. Then I went to live in London for 5 years, dragged my family there. And that was such a cool experience because since I was a kid, most of the bands that I loved were UK bands. And, even still, I love it. Right now, there's like such a great moment of, UK pop and UK souls, but, female artists, especially, right? Livy Dean, Ray, Cleo Soul, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it was that kind of opened my world a lot more. Yeah. And so like, I mean, we just skipped over Nelly Furtado too, but it's like,
Oh, that's something. Okay, that's something I actually want to bring up.
yeah, let's
Because
talk about,
I don't think this is talked about enough. So that Nelly Furtado album that you wrote on, that was Mi Plan, which of course has the song Manos al Aire, which was
yes,
huge.
that was a huge hit.
Because that was Nelly's first pivot into a like a Spanish language album, right?
It was,
And
it
then it
was,
went on to win a Latin Grammy, which is crazy. So what was that like?
well, so that was, again, that was kind of like just part of a journey with her. So my whole career has just definitely been like going down one path, then just like veering somewhere else when like something caught my attention or, I wanted to try something different. Nelly, so when did we meet her? Well, I think I remember specifically at a Philosopher Kings show, she came out in Victoria and handed a cassette tape to our singer at that time. So that was like the first contact. And
Okay.
so then once Prozzak started to take off, everyone else in the Philosopher Kings got really busy with their own production team career and everything.
Right.
So Gerald and Bryan formed Track and Field, and they produced the first two Nelly albums. I because I'm still to this day great friends with like Bryan. I played guitar on the first album, second album, Nelly, and she asked me early on, "Oh, would you want to go on the road with me?" And I joked and said, "When you're playing Wembley, give me a call." But I was kind of half kidding because I wasn't gonna go play clubs that were, I was already busy with my.
Right.
And then she did the third album with Timberland, and then I got a call like 2007, 8 from the music director of her live band saying, "Hey, yeah, Nelly wants you to come on the road with us." I was like, "Oh, okay. Where's the first gig?" He's like, Wembley." I'm like, "Okay, yes, I'm in."
Amazing.
Which was such a cool moment of like manifestation or something happening at the right moment. So I ended up going on the road with her during Loose. So I got to do all these great rock star moments that I've dreamed about since I was a kid, playing the Wembley Arena for the Princess Diana Memorial Concert with all these legendary artists, to like playing at the foot of the Eiffel Tower on their, to like 1 million people, playing Madison Square Garden. Anyway, so that was like another
Wow.
phase of working with Nelly as the guitarist. Then my goal was always I'd love to write and produce with Nelly. So when we got back to Toronto after that album, I invited her into the studio to work on a song for my solo guitar album. So, and we worked on ended up being Me Plan, the title track of her Latin album. But it was in English at first. And, at the end of the session, it was like went really well. At the end of the session, she just turned to me and said, "Do you mind if I use this song instead?" And I was like, "Hell no." So that just like,
Yes. Yes,
yeah,
you can.
yeah, yes, you can. Yeah. So again, it was just like it kind of flowed naturally at the right moment. And then me, Nelly, and a great friend of ours, Alex Cuba, super talented, Cuban singer-songwriter. We wrote half of that album together, and that included Manos al Aire, Mi Plan, Fuerte, a bunch of songs.
Was Nelly like she was set on making a Spanish language album, or did
Yeah,
it
I don't
just kind of
know. I
happen that
mean,
way?
so she's Portuguese. At the time, her husband was Cuban. I guess she'd been spending a lot of time in the States. I don't know. I don't know if it's one of those things where I don't know if in 2026 that would actually happen the same way or not, right? I
Right.
don't know. But I think for her, she loves a lot of music and a lot of Latin music. And so her dream was to duet with all these people she loved, their music. And she was able to put that together because of the platform she had after Loose.
Yeah.
So for her, it was like super, it was very natural. And I think, yeah, I'm really proud of what we did. But yeah, it was definitely a left turn for her.
Yeah, because my next question was going to be, did you feel that her pivot was a risk? But it just sounded like that was something she really wanted to do regardless.
Yeah, you know what? Well, it comes back to like Nelly's a true artist that way. Like she just does what she wants to do. And
Yeah.
if it doesn't feel natural, she just won't do it. So I think, you know, I respect that about her. And so yeah, like for sure, her label at the time was freaking out. They're like, why are you going to make a Latin album right now when you
Right.
just have the biggest, pop hit? Um, but then yeah, everyone was happy when it was a hit as well. So um, yeah, it was just like a natural left turn.
Yeah, Latin Grammy to show for it.
Exactly. That was fun.
So, what do you feel the biggest difference is for when you're writing for someone like Nelly versus writing for yourself or for Prozzak?
So like if I'm writing for Prozac, we have a clear idea of who the characters are now.
Yeah.
And there's a freedom, like we are talking about, in kind of having it go through this alter ego, right? Where you can just have fun and say stuff and sing stuff you wouldn't. Like a second before we came up with the idea of Milo, Euro rap in a fake German accent. That was not like in my head at all. But then at the moment we're like, what's the only accent I could hello?
Are we back? Something is going on with
Let's see.
Zoom today.
Yeah, is everyone zooming? Can you hear me? Am
Yep,
I
yep.
there? Okay, cool. All right.
Okay, so we're still recording, and
Yeah,
okay, I think we're good. So
I think
okay,
that was a sign that we were like, I was talking too much in that last one.
so the last thing I got was you rapping in a fake German accent.
Yes. Yeah, writing for Prozac is like nothing else because it's doing, I'm putting myself in a position that I absolutely never would otherwise. It's like
Right.
because you're a cartoon character, it's so cool. So super freeing, super fun, and unpredictable. But when I'm writing like with another artist, it's also it's easier because it's not my personality that's on the line where it's like, okay, I have to talk about what's happening with me, not that you have to, but a lot of songs are written with like that style right now,
Right.
conventional kind of style. So the writing process is not different though. It's like I typically would still prefer to sit in a room with like acoustic guitar generally. Like that's the most fun for me. So with Nelly, that's how we would do it. She was like, but she also could just like you could put a beat on and she'll just freestyle over it as well, and she's very creative. Someone like Luis Fonsi, I was in the room. He's a great musician too, and
Yeah.
so he just likes that interplay. So we sit in the room and we wrote together. And then, but someone like Drake, that was very different. That was like the opposite spectrum, more hip hop approach, where I came up with guitar riffs that I was like sending to his main producer, 40 Noah Shabib, and then he picked up on that one. He's like, oh, I already played it for Drake, and Drake really loved it. Started writing on it, and then we had another great producer, Black Coffee, that was working on the song too, and that was a dream for me. So basically, that one was definitely more of a anomaly where it's like I was just like it was a track, and then Drake worked on his part on his own. But when I hear the finished product, that is very much like my kind of song. It's like that's the song I was meant to do with him. It's like it's melodic. It's more on his house music side.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
but
cool when the process kind of flows that way. Like, you take your idea, you pretty much send it to them, and then they do their thing with it, and how it comes out in the wash, sometimes it just really works.
yeah, there's just less, I guess, because you're not everyone is involved in their own little silo. So that in general, I wouldn't want to live my life that way, like doing a lot of that. Like I
Yeah.
know a lot of other producers that just are in that world, more like hip hop, R&B, pop, like where they'll just be a beat guy and
Yeah.
he'll just like make a beat randomly with no melody, no chorus on it or anything. So, and just like hope that someone will do something with it. I prefer to be a part of, the whole story
Yeah.
and, have input and, that's more fun.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're kind of into all these different genres, and for me myself, I've always been pretty holistic about music, if you will. Like, to me,
Nice.
music is music. It's sounds and notes and words put together, and I've never really cared too much about genres. I've always been in the camp of, if you like it, period.
Exactly.
Right? And I wanted to ask you, as you've worked across many different genres, pop, Latin, EDM, what would you say is the universal thing that just makes a song connect?
Uh, Definitely a strong hook, like melodic hook or a lyrical hook that just like taps into a moment.
Yeah.
Um, or a melody that's just like so catchy that you can't get out of your head. Like that's definitely something I rely on. That's something I work for whenever I write a song. But other than that, then it's just the actual. There has to be something real in it. Like doesn't have to be lyrically about you specifically, but you have to relate in a real way, typically in a vulnerable way where you're letting something honest about you. It's about being honest, really. So it's got to have some honesty, some vulnerability, and that's what people can actually feel, even if they don't know exactly why or what about the song has that element. But if it's not there, no one cares. So
Yeah. Yeah. You need to be honest with your music, or people, like you said, it's a weird thing because you can't really quantify it, but you can just feel when something isn't authentic, right?
yes, absolutely, yeah, everyone knows it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
You heard it here, everyone. The secret to songwriting. So now I've got some rapid fire questions to close
okay,
this out. How are you doing for time?
good. Few more minutes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Rapid.
so we'll rapid fire some questions. Do we have time to check out that song?
Perhaps I'm
Yeah,
excited about a new song. Definitely want to
let's
give
do
you.
it. We've got a sneak peek for a new Prozzak song coming up. So let's hit these rapid fire
Yeah.
questions and we'll get to it. Okay, out of all the Prozac songs, if you needed to pick one, it's like choosing your favorite kid. Which is your favorite?
Oh my God. Uh, I'm gonna say "Sucks to Be You Now."
Which is your favorite song to play live?
Strange Disease.
Strange
Everyone
does.
sings along, and that
Yeah,
rocks out.
yeah, yeah. I would have guessed that anyway. Who was the most fun to work with in the studio?
And most fun. B44 were pretty fun, but I think sometimes Jay and I were just laughing
Yeah.
with. I don't know if it was always with them, but that they're fun. Um, Nelly, I'd say I always have a good time because she's so damn creative that she'll come up. It just keeps flowing, and if it doesn't flow, she'll just like let's change the idea. So
Yeah.
I just like that. Like she has a really good instinct.
Nelly just seems like that person. Like if something's not working, it seems like she can click. That'll click right
Totally.
away, and she just knows. Okay, we're
Yeah.
on to the next. This isn't it.
Yeah. Which is a great skill to have. Yeah.
Yeah. Which concert was the most memorable to play in? Whether
To
it's
play
city,
in.
venue, or festival.
Oh, okay. So there's two. Okay. Do I get two? For one for Prozzak, one outside. Okay,
Yeah.
Prozzak. I'd say playing the Juno Awards. I think it was 2000. And we were there with like these massive heads that we'd had constructed, which were like super heavy and way too expensive to build. We had pyro and we had Alanis and the Backstreet Boys sitting in the front row watching us. And I just remember the expression on like her face. She was like, huh?
I
And
remember watching that too with the giant Simon and Milo
uh,
heads.
yeah, so that was like epic moment getting to check off so many childhood dreams in one like moment. And then the second one was playing with Nelly on Bastille Day, which is like the biggest French holiday, like early July, at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. It was a big televised concert with a bunch of other bands, and there was literally like a million people. The sun was setting. Like I was looking out at the Eiffel Tower behind the people. Sun was starting to set, and it was just one of those pinch me moments. I was like, just try to remember this feeling. So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, and you had the view of the Eiffel Tower
yeah,
and the sunset and the people. Oh
yeah.
wow.
It was a sweet moment.
Yeah, that's something not a lot of people ever get to see in their entire
No,
life,
I'm
right?
thankful for that. Oh shit, I have to say that third one, Philosopher Kings selling out Massey Hall and playing like with that. We had an orchestra and a brass with that tour, and we recorded it. But that just like that was such a career achievement to actually work towards. We made it there, and it was like an awesome show, sold out. People throwing lots of underwear. It was good.
Yeah. That's always the cherry on top, right?
Yeah.
Who is your favorite Canadian artist at the moment? At the moment and all time.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
putting you on the spot, James.
Yeah, there's so many great Canadian artists. It's true. Um, yeah, because like one time one year I would have said like Arcade Fire, like probably on the first record or Suburbs or Joni Mitchell. I now just seeing her at the Junos again, I was like reminded, she's got so many incredible songs. Um, wow. Rush was the first band I saw, but no, they're not. I don't listen to them all the time. So let's say, and Drake, I love a lot of his songs. Same with Justin Bieber. Wow,
It's a hard one.
that's a hard one. I'd have to say Prozac.
Yeah, good answer. I know you were just at the Junos, Canadian Grammys, and in case anyone doesn't know, pretty much Canadian Grammys, right?
Yeah,
What was the most Canadian music moment you experienced there?
and that okay, definitely. When Prime Minister Mark Carney
Yeah,
announced, introduced Joni Mitchell,
yeah,
that was like it couldn't get more Canadian than that. And then the tribute after she spoke, the tribute to her was like Sarah McLachlan performing her songs. It was incredible. And so yeah, that was super Canadian.
oh
But I
yeah, all the
felt proud
powerhouse
to be
Canadian
Canadian.
artists.
Yeah.
And last question, where can people buy tickets to the Prozac tour?
Well, if you have bands in town, you can get them there. If you have Ticketmaster, or you could go to our IG, or we have the link there to
Yeah.
the bands in town. But definitely, we would love to see you there. It's going to be so much fun. And definitely come sing along and come dressed up if you want to.
There you have it.
You want to
So
hear a new song?
let's hear the new song.
Okay, so yeah, there's a couple new songs we're going to be debuting on this tour. So that's another reason, if you're a Prozzak fan, to come check it out. They're not out this second. So there's a new one Simon sings that, and there's a new one that you'll hear on the tour, and then there's a new one that Milo sings, which I finished first, and I just love it. This is a big party song, and so I'm gonna show you. I'll share the video, which is just something I just put together for the tour. It's not. This is just using people's random dancing dog videos and a very cool animation. So it's called Bouncy. And I encourage, if you like this song, we will put it out very soon, any day actually. And then we would love to see people come up with a dance for it because it's one of those songs that needs some kind of dance.
Let's do it. Actually, I'm gonna give me 1 second. I'm gonna put on headphones for this so we don't get the sound bleed.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. 3, 4, shake your booty on the dance floor. 5, 6, move your hips like this. 7, 8, now stop and wait. 10, 9, rock your body in time. 8, 7, 6, blow a big kiss. 5, 4, do you want more? 3, 2, 1, bouncy, bouncy all night long. Bouncy, bouncy all night long. He, she, them, they, we came to party. He, she, they, them, you can bring a friend. Yeah, 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 blah, blah, blah. Moo, 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 ja, ja, ja. Everybody knows what you gotta do now. Get a little bit crazy, here's how. When your day goes wrong and your friends are gone, it's time to play this song and bouncy, bouncy all night long. 1, 2, this is what we're gonna do. 3, 4, shake your booty on the dance floor. 5, 6, move your hips like this. 7, 8, now stop and wait. 10, 9, rock your body in time. 8, 7, 6, blow a big kiss. 5, 4, do you want more? 3, 2, 1, bouncy, bouncy all night long. Bouncy, bouncy all night long. Bouncy, bounce, bouncy, bouncy, bounce. Bouncy, bouncy all night long. Bouncy, bouncy all night.
Yes. Oh, that's so
That's going to be
fun.
so fun to play live.
Yeah, it's so interesting because all the Milo songs of Prozzak, there's a very distinct difference between the Milo songs and the Simon songs.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because Simon songs, of course, are very, emotional, and there's, this big romantic story. Whereas the Milo songs, they're just party club songs.
It's true. That's again, that's a balance, right? We got, if Simon's giving you all the heartbreak, you don't want too much heartbreak from, you got to balance it out. So
Yeah.
even if I have my share of heartbreak for Milo, let's keep the party going.
Yeah, that's the Milo character, and it fits the character so well too.
Well, anyway,
Uh,
you heard it here first. So, yeah, you're gonna hear that one
yeah.
at the Commodore.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I'm excited for the other one as well. But I guess
Yes,
that'll be a first time live thing.
it will be.
So to wrap up, I just want to say this was so surreal for me. Thanks for being here, James. Like, Prozzak was literally part of the reason I started playing music in the first place, and now getting to talk to you about it, this is like, a full circle moment.
I love that. It was my pleasure, man, and I appreciate what you're doing. I think, spreading the word through your podcast, and also, I would love to hear the music you're doing too. So keep doing your thing. Keep doing.
Dude.
There's only one Phil Zero.
Yes, sir. Thank you, James. Not
Cool.
just for being here,
Yeah.
but for all the music as well. Anything else you'd like to share with the people? Anything going on that we should keep an eye out for?
That's the important stuff you got. I'm just excited about this tour first and the new
Yeah.
songs. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.